The academy was never quiet. Every day, the sound of boots hitting the ground echoed through the training halls. Metal doors opened and closed. Weapons fired in controlled bursts. Orders were shouted. Machines hummed. This was not a normal school. It was the Orion Military Academy, one of the most advanced training centers in human space. Only the best cadets came here. Strong bodies, sharp minds, fast reflexes. Everyone here had a purpose. Everyone except one. Her name was Lena Morris. Most people did not even notice her. She always stood in the back. She spoke very little. She kept her eyes down. To others, she looked weak. Too thin, too quiet, too slow. Some cadets did not even remember her name. They just called her the human girl, the quiet one, the mistake. During physical training, Lena always came last. When the others ran fast, she moved slower. When they lifted heavy weights, she struggled. When they fought in combat drills, she avoided direct hits. The instructors often watched her with cold eyes. "She won't last long," one of them once said. The other cadets agreed. They laughed at her, not loudly at first, just small jokes, small comments. But over time, the laughter grew. One day, during a combat drill, a tall cadet pushed her aside. "Move," he said. "You're slowing everyone down." Lena stepped back without saying anything. Another cadet smirked. "Why is she even here?" No one answered, because no one cared. But Lena did not react. She never argued. She never fought back. She just watched. That was the strange part. Even when she failed, she watched. Every move, every mistake, every pattern. Her eyes followed everything. Quiet, careful, focused. But no one noticed that. Weeks passed. Training became harder. The academy prepared for high-level combat simulations. These were not simple drills. They were full battle scenarios, advanced systems, real-time strategy, multi-layer combat. Only top cadets usually performed well. Lena was expected to fail. Again, on the day of the test, the large simulation hall was full. Rows of cadets stood ready. Instructors watched from above. The room was filled with blue light from holographic screens. A voice echoed through the hall. "Simulation begins in 10 seconds. Cadets check their gear. Weapons ready. Systems online." Lena stood at the edge of the group, holding her standard issue tablet. Silent. Ignored. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The simulation started. Instantly, the room changed. The clean hall turned into a battlefield. Smoke filled the air. Explosions echoed. Enemy signals appeared on every screen. Cadets moved fast. They shouted commands. They formed teams. They attacked targets. Everything was moving quickly. Everything was under control. At first, then something strange happened. One screen flickered. Then another. A system warning appeared. Error, data mismatch. An instructor frowned. That's not part of the simulation. Suddenly, the entire system froze. Everything stopped. The battlefield vanished. The room returned to normal. But the screens did not turn off. They changed. Lines of data started to scroll. Fast. Too fast. Cadets looked confused. "What is this?" someone asked. The instructors moved quickly. "Shut it down," one of them ordered. Technicians tried to access the system, but nothing responded. The system was locked. Then a new window opened, large, bright, at the center of the main screen. Text appeared, slowly, like it was being typed, accessing archived records. The room became silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Another line appeared. Authorization accepted. One of the instructors stepped forward. "That's impossible." Then a name appeared on the screen. Clear, bold. Subject, Lena Morris. For a moment, no one understood. Then heads slowly turned. Toward the back. Toward her. Lena stood exactly where she was, holding her tablet, looking at the screen. Her face did not change. No fear. No surprise. Just calm. The cadets stared at her. "The quiet girl," someone whispered. "That can't be right." But the system continued. More text appeared. Prior classification, restricted. Security level maximum. The instructors looked at each other. This was not normal. This was not a mistake. This was something hidden, something important. And somehow, it was connected to her. Suddenly, the screen flickered again. A video file appeared. Loading combat record. The room lights dimmed. The screen turned dark. Then, the video began. But before anyone could fully understand what they were about to see, Lena slowly lifted her eyes, not at the screen, but at the room, at the people, at the ones who laughed at her. For the first time, there was something different in her expression. Not fear, not weakness. Something else. Something deeper. Something dangerous. And in that moment, even before the truth was revealed, something changed. The laughter was gone. The silence fell heavy. Because deep down, everyone felt it. They had made a mistake. A very big one. The room stayed silent. No one moved. No one even breathed loudly. All eyes were on the screen. The video began to play. At first, the image was unclear. Static lines moved across the display. Then slowly, the picture became stable. It showed a battlefield, not a simulation. This was real. The sky was dark and filled with smoke. The ground was broken. Fire burned in the distance. Strange alien ships hovered above the land. The cadets watched carefully. This is from the First War, one instructor said in a low voice. The date appeared on the screen. He was right. This was old war footage. But then, a figure entered the frame. Small, fast, silent. Someone running across the battlefield. At first, it was hard to see clearly. Then the camera zoomed in, and the entire room froze again. It was her, Lena, but not the Lena they knew. This Lena moved like a different person. Her body was faster, stronger, perfect in every motion. She did not hesitate. She did not stop. 3 alien soldiers rushed toward her, large, armored, dangerous. In the academy, it took a full squad to fight one. But here, Lena moved alone. 1 step forward. She dodged the first attack, turned, struck. The first alien fell. Before the second could react, she was already behind it. A fast movement, a precise hit. The second one dropped. The third tried to fire, but Lena was faster. She grabbed the weapon midair, redirected it, fired. The alien collapsed. 3 enemies, gone. In seconds, the cadets stared in disbelief. That's not possible, someone whispered. But the video did not stop. More clips started to play. Different locations, different missions, different battles. And in every single one, Lena was there, fighting, winning, dominating. In one scene, she stood inside a control room. Dozens of screens surrounded her. Her hands moved quickly across a console. Drones launched. Defense systems activated. Enemy signals disappeared one by one. She was not just fighting. She was controlling the battlefield. In another clip, she was surrounded. No escape, no backup, just enemies. But instead of fear, she closed her eyes for a moment, then moved. Fast, clean, perfect. Every step had a purpose. Every move had a result. Within seconds, the area was clear. The enemies were gone. The silence in the academy grew heavier. The same girl they laughed at, the same girl they pushed aside, was standing in those videos like a weapon. No hesitation, no weakness, only control. One cadet slowly stepped back. This isn't real. But it was. The system did not lie. The records were clear. Then a new file opened. Performance analysis. Charts appeared. Numbers filled the screen. Reaction time, above human limits. Accuracy, 99.8%. Adaptation speed, unmatched. Another line appeared. Subject response time exceeds AI combat units. That line hit harder than anything. Even machines could not match her. The instructors looked shocked. They had trained soldiers for years. They had seen elite fighters. But this was something else. Something beyond normal. One of the senior instructors stepped forward. His face was serious. This data was erased. Another instructor nodded. I remember this program. But he stopped talking, like he said too much. The cadets noticed. What program? One of them asked. No answer. Instead, the system continued. Another video started. This one was different. It showed a quiet room. No battlefield. No fire. Just a testing area. Lena stood in the center, wearing a simple uniform. Machines surrounded her. Scanning. Measuring. Watching. A voice from the recording spoke. Subject Lena Morris. Trial 47. Begin adaptive response tests. Lights flashed. Targets appeared around her. Moving fast. Too fast for a normal human. But Lena reacted instantly. Left. Right. Turn. Strike. Every target destroyed. Perfect timing. No delay. Trial 48. The targets became faster. Harder. More complex. Lena did not slow down. She became faster too, like she was learning in real time. Trial 52. Now even the system struggled to keep up. Trial 60. The machine voice paused, then said something strange. Warning, subject adapting beyond predicted limits. The cadets exchanged looks. Beyond limits? What does that mean? But the video answered. Trial 75. The system could no longer predict her moves. She was no longer reacting. She was anticipating, thinking ahead, like she already knew what would happen. The test ended. Final result appeared. Subject status unstable. Recommendation: restrict access. Classification: maximum security. The video ended. The screen returned to the main display. The same words still there. Lena Morris, restricted. No one spoke. No one laughed anymore. The girl they ignored was never weak. She was hidden, locked away, forgotten on purpose. A cadet slowly turned toward Lena again. But this time, his expression was not mocking. It was fear. Lena still stood in the same place, holding her tablet, silent, watching the screen, watching everything, like she already knew all of this, like none of it surprised her. One of the instructors stepped closer to her. His voice was careful now. Lena, do you remember any of this? The question hung in the air. Everyone waited. Lena did not answer immediately. She looked at the screen one more time, at the videos, at the data, at the truth. Then slowly, she looked back at the instructor, her face calm, her voice quiet. I remember parts of it. That answer made the room colder, because if she remembered, then this was not an accident. This was not random. Something was waking up, something they had tried to hide, and maybe something they could not control anymore. The system flickered again. A new alert appeared, red this time. Urgent. External signal detected. The instructors turned sharply. What now? Another line appeared. Unknown fleet approaching. The room went completely still, because deep down, they all understood one thing. The past was not just history anymore. It was coming back. And this time, they only had one weapon left. Her. The red alert light flashed across the hall. Unknown fleet approaching. The word stayed on the screen. No one spoke. The instructors quickly moved to their control panels, tried to understand the situation. Their calm faces were gone now. In their place was something else. Worry. Real worry. This is not a drill, one instructor said. Track the signal. Identify the ships. Technicians worked fast. Fingers moved across screens. Data started to load. But something was wrong. We can't get a clear scan, one technician said. They are blocking us. Another added, their signal, it matches old war data. That one sentence changed everything. The first war. The same war from the videos. The same enemy Lena fought. The room felt colder. The cadets looked at each other. Some were confused. Some were afraid. One of them spoke quietly. I thought that war ended. An instructor answered, his voice low. It did. Then he paused. Or at least we believed it did. The screen flickered again. The system was still unstable. More files tried to open, but the instructors forced them closed. Lock all archive access, the senior instructor ordered. We don't have time for this. But the damage was already done. The truth was out, and it was sitting right there in the room. Lena, she had not moved. She stood still, looking at the screen. Her eyes were focused, like she was reading something deeper than the others. Patterns, signals, something only she could understand. The senior instructor turned toward her. This time, his voice was not cold. It was careful. Lena, we need to talk. The cadets watched closely. This was different. Before, she was nothing. Now, she was the center of everything. The instructor continued. You deserve to know the truth. Lena slowly looked at him. No fear, no surprise, just quiet attention. The instructor took a deep breath. Then he spoke. Years ago, during the First War, humanity was losing. The room became still again. No matter how strong our soldiers were, it was not enough. The enemy was faster, smarter, more advanced. He paused, remembering something heavy. We needed something different. The screen behind him dimmed. A new file appeared. Old, locked, but now opening. Project Apex. The name echoed in the room. What is that? A cadet whispered. The instructor answered. It was a secret program, created to change the war. The file showed images, labs, scientists, test subjects. Human, young, trained, changed. The goal was simple, the instructor said. Create a human who could adapt faster than any enemy. Someone who could learn in real time. Someone who could fight like a machine, but think like a human. The cadets slowly understood. Their eyes moved toward Lena. The instructor nodded. Yes, she was part of that program. Silence. Heavy silence. Lena did not react. She already knew, or at least she felt it. Another instructor added. Many subjects failed. The process was too much. The human body could not handle it. The images on the screen showed empty test rooms, closed files, failure reports. But one subject survived, the first instructor said. And not just survived. He looked at Lena. She succeeded. The word felt strong. Too strong. The cadets looked at her differently now. Not with laughter. Not with doubt. But with something else. Something close to fear. She became exactly what the program wanted. The instructor continued. Fast. Smart. Adaptive. But there was a problem. The screen changed again. More reports. Warning signs. Her growth did not stop. She kept improving. Learning faster than expected. Changing faster than we could measure. Another line appeared. Subject exceeds control parameters. The instructor spoke again, slower this time. We could not predict her anymore. We could not control her. That made her dangerous. The word stayed in the air. Dangerous. The same quiet girl. Dangerous. So what did you do? One cadet asked. The answer came quickly. We ended the program. The screen went dark for a moment, then showed one final report. Project Apex terminated. But Lena was still alive, the instructor added. We could not destroy our only success. So we made a different choice. Lena's eyes moved slightly, like she already knew what he would say. We erased her history. We locked her memories. And we placed her here. The academy, the place where she was ignored, where she was called weak, where she was hidden in plain sight. To watch her, the instructor said, to control her growth, to make sure she never becomes too much again. The room stayed silent. The truth was clear now. Everything made sense. Her quiet nature, her strange awareness, her watching eyes. It was never weakness. It was control. Or maybe it was something waiting. One cadet slowly shook his head. So all this time, she was stronger than all of us? No one answered. They did not need to. The answer was already clear. Suddenly, the alarm grew louder. The red lights flashed faster. Enemy fleet entering orbit. Impact in 10 minutes. The tension snapped back. Reality returned. The instructors turned to their stations. Prepare all defense systems. Activate shields. Call nearby fleets. But reports came back fast. Shields not responding. Weapon systems offline. Signal interference too strong. Panic started to spread. The Academy was not ready. Not for this. Not for them. The same enemy from the past. Stronger now. Closer now. One instructor whispered, "We can't stop them." That sentence hit harder than anything. Because it was true. The systems failed. The soldiers were not prepared. Time was running out. And then, in the middle of the chaos, Lena moved just one step forward. Small. Quiet. But everyone noticed. Because everything else had failed. And now, all eyes were on her. The girl they laughed at. The weapon they tried to hide. The truth they buried. Slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes were no longer soft. No longer unsure. They were sharp. Focused. Awake. For the first time, she did not look like a cadet. She looked like something else. Something they created. Something they feared. Something they needed. And in that moment, without saying a single word, everyone understood. This was no longer about training. No longer about secrets. This was war. And their only chance was her. The alarm did not stop. Red lights flashed across every wall. The calm order of the Academy was gone. In its place was noise, confusion, and rising fear. Enemy fleet entering lower orbit. Impact time, 8 minutes. The voice of the system sounded cold, but the people in the room were not. They were tense. Some cadets stood frozen. Others tried to help, moving from one station to another, not knowing what to do. The instructors were shouting orders. Get the shield grid online. Redirect power to defense systems. Call command now. But every command came back with the same answer. Failure. Shield grid not responding. Weapon systems offline. External communication blocked. It was like the entire Academy had gone blind. One instructor slammed his hand on the console. This is impossible. But it was happening. The enemy had not even attacked yet, and they were already losing. Above them, in space, the alien fleet moved closer. Dark shapes against the stars. Silent. Waiting. Watching. Back inside the hall, the tension grew heavier. Then, a loud spark came from the main control system. The screens flickered. The same system that had shown Lena's past was still unstable. Data flashed across the displays. Fast. Uncontrolled. Like something inside was trying to break free. The technician stepped back. We can't stabilize it. It's not responding to commands. The senior instructor turned sharply. Shut it down completely. But before anyone could act, a soft sound cut through the chaos. A single step. Lena. She moved forward again. Slowly. Calmly. Like the alarms did not exist. Like the fear around her did not matter. Every eye followed her. No one stopped her. No one spoke. Because deep down, they were waiting. Waiting for something. Lena walked toward the main control console. The same system that no one could control. The same system that was failing. She stopped in front of it. For a moment, she just looked at the screen. Data reflected in her eyes. Lines. Patterns. Signals. To others, it was chaos. To her, it made sense. Behind her, one instructor spoke carefully. Lena, don't. But his voice was weak, uncertain, because he remembered the files. He remembered what she could do. Lena did not turn. She did not answer. She simply raised her hand and placed it on the console. For a second, nothing happened. Then, everything changed. The flickering stopped. The screen stabilized. The noise in the system went quiet, like it was listening. The technician stared. What did she do? Data began to move again. But now, it was controlled, organized, clean. The system was no longer broken. It was working, better than before. The lights in the room shifted from red to blue. The alarm softened. Not gone, but weaker, like the system had found balance again. The senior instructor stepped closer, eyes wide. She didn't just fix it. He paused. She improved it. On the main screen, new data appeared. Clear and sharp. Enemy fleet analysis complete. Target systems unlocked. How is that possible? One cadet asked. No one answered, because they were all watching the same thing. Lena. She stood still. but her fingers moved slightly on the console. Small movements. Precise. Every action caused a reaction in the system. Outside, defense satellites powered on. Inside, weapon systems restarted. But something was different. They were faster, more efficient, like they had been upgraded. In real time, shield grid coming online, a technician said, shocked. But it's stronger than before. Another added, weapon targeting is perfect. The instructor looked at the screen. Every enemy ship now had a clear marker. Locked, tracked, predicted. Even their next moves were shown. Lena was not just reacting. She was thinking ahead, just like in the test videos, just like in the war records. The truth was no longer hidden. It was happening right in front of them. Then the system spoke again. But this time, the voice was different, smoother, calmer. Defense control transferred. The instructor frowned. Transferred to who? The answer appeared instantly. Primary control, Lena Morris. Silence. No one questioned it. No one tried to stop it, because they knew she was the only one who could do this. Outside, the enemy fleet moved closer. Weapons charged. Energy gathered at the front of their ships. They were preparing to strike. Inside the academy, time felt slow, every second heavy, every breath tight. One cadet whispered, "We're about to be hit." But Lena did not move. She did not panic. Her eyes stayed on the screen, focused, sharp. Then she spoke. Her voice was quiet, but clear. Now. At that exact moment, the Academy's defense system activated. Energy shields expanded outward, stronger than before, faster than before. The alien ships fired. Bright beams of energy rushed toward the Academy. The impact came, but the shields held. Not even a crack. The cadets gasped. That should have broken us. But it didn't, because this was not the same system anymore. This was her system now. Lena's fingers move again. Outside, defense cannons turned. Locked, fired. Precise shots cut through space. One enemy ship exploded. Then another. Then another. No wasted movement. No missed targets. Perfect control. Inside the hall, no one spoke. They just watched. The quiet girl, the one they laughed at, was now controlling the entire battlefield. Like it was nothing. Like she had done it before. Maybe she had. The senior instructor whispered, almost to himself, "We were never controlling her." He looked at Lena. "We were holding her back." And now, there was nothing holding her back anymore. The system continued to respond to her. Faster, smarter, more powerful. The battle had just begun. But one thing was already clear. This was no longer a fight between equals. Because now, Lena was fully awake. And the enemy had no idea what they were facing. The battle filled the sky. Bright flashes of light cut through the darkness of space. Explosions echoed like distant thunder. Pieces of broken ships drifted slowly, glowing as they burned. Inside the academy, no one spoke. They just watched the impossible happen. On every screen, the same image repeated. Enemy ships falling, one after another. Fast, clean, precise. Lena stood at the center of it all. Still, calm, in control. Her fingers moved across the console with small, exact motions. She did not rush. She did not hesitate. She didn't need to. The system moved with her. Or maybe it followed her. Outside, the alien fleet tried to change formation. They spread out. They moved in patterns. They tried to confuse the defense system. But it didn't work. Because Lena was not guessing. She was predicting. Before a ship could turn, the system already knew. Before a weapon could fire, the system already reacted. A cadet stared at the screen, his voice shaking. She's ahead of them. Another whispered, "No, she's inside their moves." The instructors stood frozen. They had trained for years. They had studied war strategies. But this was beyond anything they had seen. Lena was not fighting the enemy. She was solving them, like a problem, like a pattern, like something already understood. The system displayed new data. Enemy behavior analyzed. Next action predicted. Countermeasure ready. Every move from the enemy had an answer. Every attack was stopped. Every weakness was found. One instructor slowly shook his head. This isn't defense. He looked closer at the screen. This is control. And he was right, because the battlefield no longer looked random. It looked planned, but not by the enemy. By her. Outside, one of the larger alien ships moved forward. It was different, bigger, heavily armored. Energy gathered around it. This must be their command ship, a technician said. If that fires, the shield won't hold. The room grew tense again. Even now, there was still danger. The ship began to charge its main weapon. A bright light formed at its center, stronger than anything before. The system reacted. Warning signs appeared. High energy threat detected. Impact probability critical. The cadets felt fear again. This is it, someone said quietly. But Lena did not react. Her eyes stayed focused, her breathing calm. She watched the ship, the energy, the pattern. Then she moved her hand once, just once. A new command entered the system. Something different, something no one else understood. The screens changed, not to defense, not to shields, to something else. Signal override initiated. The technicians looked confused. Override? What is she doing? Outside, the alien ship released its attack. A massive beam of energy shot toward the academy. Fast, bright, unstoppable. But just before it hit, something unexpected happened. The beam changed direction. Slightly, then completely. It turned, like it was pulled, like something had taken control of it. And in the next second, the beam hit the alien command ship itself. A direct hit. The explosion was massive. Light filled the screen. Shock waves spread through space. Silence followed. Complete silence. Inside the academy, no one moved. No one spoke. They could not believe what they just saw. She redirected it. A cadet whispered. The instructor nodded slowly. She didn't block the attack. She used it. That moment changed everything. Because now it was clear. This was not just skill. This was not just training. This was something else. Something far beyond human limits. The remaining alien ships began to retreat. Their formation broke. Their movements became chaotic. They were no longer attacking. They were escaping. The system updated instantly. Enemy retreat detected. Pursuit options available. The instructors looked at Lena, waiting. What would she do? Continue? Destroy them all? End it completely? Lena paused. For the first time since the battle began, she stopped moving. Her eyes stayed on the screen, watching the enemy ships disappear into the distance. Her expression changed slightly. Not anger, not pride, something quieter, something deeper. Then she removed her hand from the console. The system slowed. Weapons powered down. The pursuit stopped. The instructors were surprised. "You letting them go?" one asked. Lena finally spoke, her voice soft. They are no longer a threat. Simple, clear, final. No one argued, because after everything they had seen, they trusted her. Or maybe they feared her judgment more than their own. The battle was over, but the silence stayed. The cadets looked at Lena, not with laughter, not with doubt, but with something new, respect, and something else, fear. Because now they understood. She was never one of them. She was something more, something created, something controlled, or at least something they tried to control. The senior instructor stepped forward, his voice quiet. "We were wrong." Lena did not answer. He continued. "We thought we could limit you. We thought we could hide you." He looked at the screens, at the destroyed enemy fleet, at the system she had changed. "But you were never meant to be hidden." Lena looked at him, her eyes calm again, but still sharp, still aware, still awake. The instructor took a slow breath. "Were you now?" The question stayed in the air. Heavy, important. Everyone waited. Lena thought for a moment, then gave a simple answer. "I'm still human." The room stayed silent, because the answer felt both true and not enough. Outside, the stars were quiet again. The enemy was gone. The academy was safe. But nothing was the same anymore, because now everyone knew the truth. The girl they laughed at, the one they ignored, the one they thought was weak, had ended the war in minutes. And deep down, they all felt the same thing. If she ever stood against them, there would be no fight, only the end. The academy was quiet again, too quiet. The alarms were gone. The lights returned to normal. The systems were stable. But the feeling inside the hall had changed. No one moved the same way anymore. No one spoke loudly, because something had shifted, something they could not ignore. At the center of it all, Lena stood still. The console in front of her was calm now. The screen showed only basic system data. No enemy signals. No warnings. The war was over, at least for now. The cadets slowly began to step back. Some looked at Lena with wide eyes. Some avoided looking at her at all. A few still stared, trying to understand. But none of them laughed anymore. Not a single one. The same people who once called her weak now didn't even dare to speak her name. The senior instructor walked forward, slow, careful, like he was approaching something powerful, something unpredictable. He stopped a few steps away from her. For a moment, he said nothing. Then finally, "You saved us." His voice was calm, but heavy. Lena didn't respond right away. She looked at the screens one last time, then slowly turned to face him. "I did what was needed," she said. Simple words. No pride, no emotion, but that made it even stronger. The instructor nodded slowly. "Yes, you did." He hesitated, then added, "But what you did, no one else could have done." That was the truth. Everyone in the room knew it. The cadets, the instructors, even the technicians. Without Lena, they would have lost. There was no doubt. Another instructor stepped closer. "What happens now?" he asked. It was not just a question. It was a concern. Because Lena was not just a cadet anymore. She was something more. Something beyond their system. Beyond their control. The senior instructor looked at Lena again. "We cannot treat you like a normal cadet anymore. That much is clear." Lena listened quietly, her face calm, but her eyes still thinking, always thinking. He continued, "Your abilities, they change everything. For this academy, for the military, for humanity." The word hung in the air. Humanity. That was what this was really about. Not just one battle, not just one person, but the future. Lena lowered her eyes for a moment, as if she was thinking about something deeper, something far away. Then she spoke again. "What do you want from me?" The question was direct, clear, no fear, no hesitation. The instructors looked at each other. They did not have a simple answer. Finally, the senior instructor said, "We want to understand you." A pause. "And we want to make sure you are not alone." That last part surprised some of the cadets, because it was not about control, not about fear, but something else. Responsibility. Lena looked at him, really looked this time. Her expression softened, just a little, but only for a second. Then it was gone, replaced again by calm focus. "I was never alone," she said. The answer confused them. But before anyone could ask more, the system behind her made a soft sound, a small notification. The screen lit up again. A message appeared. Short, simple, external signal detected. The room became tense again. But this time, it was different. Not fear, not panic, something else. Curiosity. The instructor stepped closer to the screen. Another fleet? The system processed the signal, then displayed the result. Human command transmission. The tension eased slightly. A communication line opened. A voice came through. Calm, strong. "This is Central Command. We have received your battle data." A pause. Then, "We need to speak with Lena Morris." Every eye turned to her again. Of course they did. She was no longer hidden, no longer unknown. The truth had reached beyond the academy. The instructor looked at Lena. "This is your choice," he said quietly. She stepped forward, closer to the console again, the same place where everything had changed. She looked at the screen, at the connection, at the future, waiting on the other side. Then she spoke. "I'm here." The voice on the other side paused, as if studying her, then replied, "You have done something extraordinary. We need to understand what you are." The same question again, different voice, same meaning. Lena's expression did not change. Her answer came just as simple as before. "I already told you. I'm human." Silence. Then the voice answered, "We're not sure that's true anymore." The room felt heavier again, because that question, that doubt, was something everyone was thinking. But Lena did not react. She did not argue. She simply said, "Then maybe you don't understand what human means." That answer stayed. It settled into the room, into the minds of everyone listening, because maybe they really didn't understand. Not fully. Not yet. The call ended shortly after, but its impact stayed. The academy returned to its normal state, but nothing was normal anymore. Training would continue. Cadets would learn. Instructors would teach. But now, there was a new truth, a new standard, a new reality. Lena turned away from the console. She began to walk, slowly, calmly, toward the exit, the same way she always did. Quiet, unnoticed, or at least, that's how it used to be. This time, everyone watched. No one spoke, but their thoughts were loud. Respect, fear, wonder, understanding. As she reached the door, one cadet finally found the courage to speak. The same one who once laughed at her. "Lena?" She stopped, but did not turn. He hesitated, then asked, "Why didn't you ever show us who you really were?" The question was honest. No mockery, no pride, just truth. Lena stood there for a moment, thinking. Then she gave a small answer. "You never asked." Simple, direct, real. Then she walked out. The door closed behind her, and the room stayed silent, because now everyone understood something important. Power is not always loud. Strength is not always seen. And humans are not always what they seem. Sometimes the quiet ones are the ones who change everything.